Hello, my name is Candor Rhodes. Hey, thanks for swinging by today. I've got 4 things that I want to share with you that I think are helpful for creating a thriving creative culture. When I think about culture, the importance of nurturing culture, these 4 things strike me as important ingredients to creating a kind of culture that is creative. Hey, if that's not the kind of culture you're interested in creating, then go ahead and skip this video. It's probably not for you. If you are interested in creating a culture or nurturing a culture that has the notion of creativity, then these 4 things I think will help you in driving that kind of culture forward. So first one is the idea of candor. Hey, if you've not read Creativity Inc., the narrative of how Pixar came to be, pick it up. It is priceless. It is gold from front to finish. In there, Ed Catmull describes the idea that in order to have a thriving creative culture, you have to have candor as a part of your everyday interactions with people. Now, candor is an excuse to be a jerk. We're not talking about this idea of just, saying what is on your mind and regardless of how that's going to hit somebody. But it's embracing the notion that in order to have constructive feedback, you have to be willing to express yourself. You can't always just play the nice card. So idea number 1 is nurture the notion of candor in your team. Idea number 2 is whimsy. So the idea of whimsy is this notion of play and just being expressive and exploring freely is one that I honestly struggle with. So I like things buttoned up. I like order, or at least like the appearance of order. The truth of the matter is though, whimsy, the notion of the idea of behind whimsy elicits this carefree exploration of the world around you. It's the freedom to reach for ideas that aren't viable, that aren't feasible, and maybe aren't even desirable, but to explore a space that is not encumbered by constraints. Quite often, that is where creativity or new ideas kind of jump out at you. So the ability to play and the ability to just be whimsical with your expression or your exploration of the world around you is key and critical to creating a creative culture. Number 3. This one is critically important. And that's the idea that in order to have a creative culture, you have to have a culture that is optimistic. This one can be really hard, especially if you're surrounded by people, or even maybe yourself, who are drawn to identifying all of the ways in which something can go wrong. In business, it is admirable to help the organization avoid undue risk. And in order to get there, we have an incentive structure that basically incentivizes you, me, the teams we're with, to find or at least identify ways that something could go amiss. Really, that comes from an honest approach to making sure that we don't step in it. But at the same time, if all we do is look for ways for things to go wrong, we cut ourselves short from stepping into new areas that might feel risky. And I think that is why optimism is such a critical piece for creating a creative culture, or for a thriving creative culture. You've got to be able to imagine a future that is positive and sunny despite all of the risks. And there are risks, and I'm not saying don't be responsible with mitigating risk, but at the same time, look for ways to overcome them. Finally, number 4, the idea of transparency. You want a creative culture, you've got to increase the amount of transparency within the team. Steve Denning captured this idea really well in his book, Leader's Guide to Radical Management. In there, he points out that transparency is really the foundation in which teams can move quickly and keep momentum in a positive direction. When things are opaque, it's hard for teams to make decisions or informed decisions about how to move forward. And if you can create more transparency and remove impediments, but at the same time, by doing so, that ratchets up the ability for your team to be creative, and to explore new ways of moving forward. So those are 4 things that I think that are important for a thriving creative culture: candor, whimsy, optimism, and transparency. If you can ratchet up those notions within your team, I think you'll see positive, creative results.